Okay, welcome back to the final part of setting up this really simple quest system. Now, we've got our scroll box that will be populated with the buttons. We want to link the buttons that are in here so that when you click on them, it's going to update where the compass is pointing towards that particular location. So it's much easier to figure out which one it is and then to complete the tasks in turn. Okay, so to do that, we need to go into our quest button, and first of all, we will need to link the button with the compass so that we can tell the compass to update its position. First, let's add in the compass controller at the top. Now remember, this is a prefab, this button, so we won't be able to drag and drop the compass controller onto it. Instead, we'll need to find it in the hierarchy and then attach it to our button when the button comes into existence. So what I'm going to do just at the top here is add an awake. And inside that awake, you're going to see the addition of our on-click handler. But first of all, what we're interested in is this line here. So what it's doing is populating this compass controller with whatever it finds in the hierarchy called the compass controller. So it's very important that your compass controller is named compass controller in the hierarchy. Let's just check that for ourselves. We'll go back into the hierarchy, find our compass. Now, I've actually called it compass here. In my code that I wrote before, obviously I called it compass controller. So I can change it in either spot. Just change it in the code and get rid of that there. Very important to find that. Now, the other thing that we're going to do in the awake is also set up the listener. And the listener, as I said before, is the method that will get run when the button clicks. So the button is essentially listening. It's listening out for it being activated. Then it's going to run something called click handler, which we haven't written yet. But the way to attach a listener to a button is to have the button, we want its on click functionality and then add listener. The click handler is just a method. So we'll go down and add that in now. I'll go right down to the bottom here. In this case, it's very, very simple. All it's doing is setting the compass controller's target to be the location of the event. Now you can see that the event currently doesn't have this location set up in it, so we will get around to fixing that. Save all of that, and then let's go over to our quest event, and up the top we'll add in a public game object called location, and we'll set this location up when we create the quest event itself. So under here we will put game object lock. This is where we're going to pass through the cubes when they're coming in from the manager, so it links the quest event to the location and to the button. And at this point you can see where all of this is getting very integrated together, and the graph system isn't so separated as it was before. But there's really not a lot of ways to get around that at this point in such a simple system. Now, what are we doing down in quest event? We are setting location equal to the one that we're passing through lock, like that. Now, that means that wherever we're running this quest event to create a new quest event, we now have to update it to pass through the location. So that happens in the quest manager, right at the top where we create all of these quests here. Inside of the add quest event, which is in quest, so we're passing through the game objects that have our location for each of these into here, like this. Saving that, and then we have to go over to the quest. We probably could streamline this, but just by injecting the direct event with the thing, but this is just passing it through as it gets created. So inside of quest, in the add quest event, we're also going to grab this game object. Let's call it L for location, and then we will put L down there, and that will then pass it through the event and set the whole thing up for us. So let's just save that, and I'll just make sure that I saved this, and I've saved that. Good. Now let's go back into Unity and run this and see if we can update our compass needle. So this is now pointing at the first thing that we set ages ago. Let's click on the first object there. Now remember that this first button is cube 1 because we assigned it, or at least I did. So right at the beginning, by default, that compass needle is pointing to that first cube. And as I turn around towards that first cube, which I know is that one there from experience, I can go straight towards it. When I hit it, the collider will go off, and you'll see in your task list that that task has now been done and task 2's ready to go. To update your compass needle, we can press that. The on click will now tell us where that new position is. So it must be that cube over there. So I'll run over here and hit it. And now you can see that task 2 has been done, and 3 and 4 become available, because remember that these two can happen, you can do either or both of them to continue through that graph for the quest. Right, so this is nice, but you have to keep remembering to click on the button for the one that you want to go to. And that's okay if you've got multiple things you could choose from at any one time and you want to switch between them. But what would be nice is if after you have finished one of the events, the compass needle just automatically updates to go to the next task that you could go to. That way you don't have to keep coming back and clicking in here. All right, so let's stop the zombie carnage and add that functionality. So it's really quite simple to do that. Let's go back into quest button. We know that when the buttons update here in the update button of the quest button code, where they get set to having a tick if they're done and waiting and all those sorts of things here and interactable. Now, when they are ready to go, they're current. So they're the ones that can be worked on. So if we go down into this part of the if-else statement, and inside here, when the button becomes current, we also just call its click handler. So let me copy that and put it up here. And that will automatically force a click on that button, which will go ahead and set the target. Save that. That's all you had to do for this. And now if we press play, we should find that we have our first task to go towards, which is over here. And then as soon as I hit that, the compass will update. And we'll now be pointing to the second one, which is over here. And if I hit that, it's going to go to, I'm going to say it's going to go to 4 because it'll be the last one that gets clicked. So it'll be down to here because it doesn't matter. You can do either of these, but the option is also to click on one of them. But let's just go and do 4. And once we've done that, it should go on to 5. We don't have to do 3 in this case. And 5 is over here. Or is it? Which one? Oh, this one. Now, once you've done this, you've basically finished the quest. It would be nice if we had some sort of little pop-up or something to recognize our efforts. So let's quickly add that in as well. So for a really quick and easy pop-up, let me just click on the canvas, right-click, UI, and we'll go button. That will put something in the middle of the screen. That'll do for now. On the text for that, we will put something like victory, and let's call this the quest done display or whatever. You don't have to use a button. You could use like a text box and an image and all sorts of things, or you could set off a particle system or whatever. Anyway, so we're going to use this button. Now, initially when you start playing, obviously you're not going to have victory showing. So you do want to go to the inspector and turn it off. So disable it, but it still will exist as such in there so that when we do reach the end of our list of events, it will trigger it to start. So we need to pass that through into our quest manager. So let's go to our quest manager, and what we're going to do first of all is at the top, make sure that we add that in so that we've got a link to it. So public game object, and let's call it victory pop-up. Then we also need to know what the final event is. So let's put quest event final so that we can check that we have done that. Then down in the start, we will set up what that final is. It doesn't really matter where I put it here, but let's do it. Down here, final equals, and in this case it will be event E because that's the last one in our list. And then finally, we will test for it down in our update quests on completion. So just above here, let's just add in this. And it will check if E is the final one that we've set up, in which case the victory pop-up set active will go to true, and then the code will return. So it won't do any more updating of the buttons inside of that quest for you. Okay, so save that, and we'll go back into Unity. What you want to do is get your quest manager, and for the new exposed value that you'll get on it, you want to drag and drop your victory pop up there. So where is that? This one here, quest done display. Let's just put that in there. Now we're ready to test if we could do all our tasks, that it will pop up. So press play, and I'm going to quickly run through all of these cubes. Okay, get ready for it, and bang, there we go, victory. Yay, we made it. Okay, so that's working now, and that's all the components that you need for this very simple quest system. So I hope you enjoyed this mini tutorial on quest systems. Of course, there's so much more that you can do and way more complex stuff that you can add in there, but you now have the basis of a very simple and yet powerful little quest system based on graphs and based on searching through graphs. And if you studied graphs before by looking at their use in waypoints or in any AI, you can now sort of expand your knowledge of where graphs are used in games development. So they're pretty much all over the place. They're just so flexible and useful. Thanks for watching. Please support the development of more superb online learning content by subscribing, and as always, visit holistic3d.com to learn more about awesome games development books and tutorials.